everybody. Welcome to Rachel's Reviews. And this is another one of our Theater Tuesday episodes where we're talking all things Broadway and show tunes and all that fun stuff. And today I'm really excited. I have with me Marc Bonanni here, and he has his YouTube channel, Broadway by Ghostlight. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. So what we like to do with new guests is get a little bit about your backstory. How did you develop your love of theater? How did you get the idea to do the channel, all that?
When I growing up, there was no theater. None of my family were theater people. They're all lawyers and race car drivers. But then in fourth grade, uh, we did a school play, and I sort of showed interest in that. And my grandfather gave me a ticket to the touring company of Sound of Music with Marie Osmond.
Ah,
I
nice.
was I was 10 years old, and it was so bizarre. I don't even remember the show, but I remember getting the ticket for Christmas. And it was the only thing I could think of is like when a priest talks about divine calling, because I felt like something clicked,
Yeah.
and my life has been theater ever since. That, and I think also Muppets Take Manhattan really influenced me because
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to move to New York. I wanted to be on Broadway, and I grew up in Southern California with no theater around me. So I don't know where that came from. But the channel started. So I moved to New York in 2003 for college. I went to the American Musical and Dramatic Academy, AMDA, to be a performer. But it's such a cutthroat industry. I didn't have the guts. I didn't have what it took to make it, and I knew that about myself. And I really love the history side of musical theater. So I wanted to be a musical theater historian, but I really wasn't sure what that meant. I didn't really want to write a book. Podcasting, I didn't think, would work for me. And then I got really, really, really into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I had never seen the movies, and then like before
Yeah.
Infinity War, I did like a marathon, and literally, I mean, I'm obsessed with the Marvel movies now. But I would watch all these videos breaking down, the movies and Easter eggs, and I thought, wow, wouldn't it be fun to have a channel like this, but for Broadway shows?
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to make one, and I started during the pandemic, as a lot of people's projects tend to, and here we are. And
Yeah.
thanks to some nice people and Schmigadoon, the channel has sort of, gotten some recognition. So it's been really
Mm-hmm.
nice.
So your first musical was Seeing the Sound of Music with Marie Osmond.
Yes, I have no memory of it at all. I have no memory of the
Yeah.
show. My memory is really bad when I feel like people remember their first time seeing a show.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I remember I saw Carol Channing on tour in Hello
Oh.
Dolly.
Mm-hmm.
I remember her entrance, with the newspaper, and it's such a great entrance, and the audience going crazy. And then I remember seeing my childhood idol Jerry Lewis in Damn Yankees
Oh.
uh, when I was like 12,
Uh-huh.
and it was a great moment. And I collect props now from shows, and I have his cane that he used as the devil in that show. It's like one of my prized possessions. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
Yeah. So wait, what was your first show? Do you remember that you actually saw on Broadway?
Oh yes, I saw my first Broadway show December 27th, 2000. It was a Wednesday night. I just flew into the city that day. I was so ready for my first New York trip. So my
Uh-huh.
first Broadway show was Jekyll and Hyde with David Hasselhoff.
No way.
Not
Epic.
not a winner, not, I feel like everyone's got these amazing stories about their first show. No, mine was not the greatest. But then the next day I saw the original Broadway cast of Aida, and
Oh, jealous
so,
there.
but I was there for 6 days, and I saw 11 shows. That was my first trip to New
Wow.
York. Yeah.
That's great. My first Broadway show, well, I saw Phantom in San Francisco.
Mm,
That was the first real memorable one that I saw. My grandma had given me the a cassette tape of the best of Andrew Lloyd Webber, and
yeah.
that was very exciting. I love
I
that.
mean,
Love
he
that.
does write exciting music.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think he
And
picks the best lyricists all the time, but he writes exciting music.
yeah, it was very, very exciting. And so I saw that was the first like real Broadway show that I saw. But as far as in New York, my choir actually went up to New York for a competition. I was living in Maryland at the time, and we got the choice. We could either go to Les Mis or go to Cats.
Ooh,
It's
that's a
just a tough one.
choice.
Yeah.
And which one did you choose?
I chose Les Mis. I was obsessed with Les Mis.
Well, that's
Uh,
definitely the better of the two.
yeah.
I'll give you that.
the the 10-year anniversary concert was a big thing that time, and I literally knew every line to every song. If
Wow.
they needed a swing at any moment,
You could
could
have
have
just
gone in.
jumped on the
Yeah,
stage.
yeah, yeah. I could
That's
have.
so funny.
And it didn't disappoint. I loved it. I've seen it 3 times, I think, on Broadway, and I love the show. I think it's so beautiful. The message and the music is so great, and so I don't think it will ever be topped as my favorite show. Just with the
Yeah,
nostalgia, I just don't think like it'll ever. I love it so much.
good one. That was
But
the first show I saw in London's West End.
okay.
And I was like, if you're gonna go to London, let's go full London and see Les Mis.
Yeah, yeah. And so let's see here. Let me. Um, so one thing I wanted to talk to you, you've done a lot on your channel about movies that are made into Broadway musicals, and then Broadway musicals made into movies, back and forth.
Yeah.
We've had years where every single new musical is based on a movie. How do you feel
It
about
seems
that?
like that. It can seem like that. I think what people I mean, sometimes yes, movies turned into stage musicals can be just a cash grab. They could just be, I think if there's like the spectacle of it, like I watched your underrated movies video
Yeah.
and you talked about Ghosts and how it was basically the movie on stage. Actually, anytime except for the ones that didn't make Broadway, I saw the original Broadway cast of every musical you talked about in that video.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah,
That's so I'm
except for
so
the ones that didn't
jealous.
go to Broadway. Anyway, uh, but I think when back in the 40s and 50s when Rodgers and Hammerstein and all the classic musicals, they were all based on books and plays. Their movies had only been around, really for 20, 30. I mean, there wasn't this giant catalog to pull from, and a lot of them weren't, back then the writers were all writing for the stage and writing novels instead of writing films. So I think if films had as voluminous of options of stories to tell, and so much talent wasn't writing for if more talent was writing for Hollywood at the time, I think Rodgers and Hammerstein, Lerner and Lowe, I think they all would have been adapting films. And like The King and I, yes, it's based on the novel, but it's really influenced a lot by the film version of that. My Fair Lady, again, too,
Oh
the
yeah.
ending is based on the film's ending as opposed to more so than the original
Play.
play's ending. So I feel like movies to screen to stage adaptations get a bad rap. I think anything can make a good musical, but yes, there are several movies turn musicals that don't add anything, that don't. There's no reason for them to be on stage. So bad
Yeah.
musicals are everywhere. There might be a few more than normal with the screen to stage pipeline, but I think they get a bad rap.
Yeah, like 2018, you had The Band's Visit based on a movie,
Yep.
Frozen based on a movie,
Yep.
Mean Girls based on a movie, and SpongeBob SquarePants based on a movie or
Yeah.
show.
A show. Yeah, I think that's the first TV show to Broadway adaptation. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah,
Um,
I can't
yeah,
remember.
I mean, it's especially with the price of going to a theater nowadays. I mean, I get free tickets often. I know a lot of people. My wife works on Broadway. We, often get really cheap tickets or free tickets, but we still have to pay for a babysitter and, we go out to dinner. It's so
Yeah.
expensive for a night out at the theater. Most people want to know they're going to enjoy their evening. And so having a recognizable name, it's like, oh, I love SpongeBob. I'm gonna have a great time, as opposed to seeing like, you know, Shucked, which is a new musical, which happens to be absolutely amazing. But and their marketing has been brilliant. But a show like that where you don't know what it's
Yeah.
about, it's a you're almost gambling for $500.
Yeah. I actually have seen Shucked because they did their tryout in Salt Lake.
Oh, I because I've seen it twice on Broadway. I would love if you get to New York and see it because it'll be
Oh,
running for a while. I think it's
yeah.
gonna do very well. I
Well,
would
I
love to
was,
hear the differences between the two.
yeah. I mean, I was nervous for it just because you just never know with comedies. Like if
Yep.
people, because it's a pretty simple show. Like the
Yeah.
story is basically like your Magnificent Seven type story that we've seen a million times. And like, are people going to like those jokes? Like it's not one that's going to win off of like sets or production or spectacle or any of that. And so I was really curious to see if audiences would embrace it, but it seems like they have, so I'm glad
They
for them.
really have. I mean,
Yeah.
there's rumblings. People think it's in the top contention for best musical.
Yeah.
It's not. I love Shucked. It's not going to win best musical. That's
Which do you think's
Kimberly
gonna win?
Akimbo. But
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, why do you think that the reverse is almost never true? That so you have lots of movies being made into good Broadway musicals. Broadway musicals being made into movies is um it rarely works. Like I'm way more forgiving than most, but still, what do you think? Why do you think that's hard?
I think you really have to have a vision. It's almost like a revival of the show in a different, because it's a whole different medium. These shows were written for a stage. They're written presentationally, and
Mm-hmm.
music, movies are not that way. But if you have uh, a strong concept behind, I think that's why Chicago, the movie, works so well. Although that's also a very presentational, you know, there's numbers looking at the camera and talking to the audience. So it's just, I think it's a weird medium, and movie audiences aren't as used to seeing stage shows as they were back in the day. Um, yeah, I
Yeah,
guess just
it's
yeah,
true because like the performances when you go see a show, they're playing to that back row. That everything's big and all the emotions are big and everything where you have something like I don't know, Dear Evan Hansen or the Jersey Boys or just some of these things that same performance by the people that were doing it on Broadway, it just doesn't translate like into the medium of film, which is close up, personal, in your face kind of a thing, as opposed to that big
yeah,
spectacle.
absolutely. Part of Jersey, I mean, I love Jersey Boys. But seeing the sets move on and off and the
Yeah.
actors pop up from the stage and the live orchestra. I mean, all those things that make theater what it is integral to the enjoyment of that evening. And when you take all that away and you're not only focusing just on the story but expanding it by an author often that wasn't involved in the Broadway show, the results are up in the air.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not that I some of the best ones are probably I mean, My Fair Lady, I think is pretty good. Fiddler on the Roof is really good.
Excellent, excellent.
Um, as far as translations, I mean, I think The Sound of Music is actually one of the rare ones that it's better. I think the movie is
Yeah.
better.
Although, I saw we were in we took a European vacation, my wife and I, before we had kids. We're like, let's go do something before we can't do anything ever
Smart.
again. So we went to Europe and we were in Barcelona or Madrid, and we saw an all Spanish production of The Sound of Music, Sonrisas y
Huh.
Lagrimas.
Interesting.
And it was one of the most thrilling and exciting productions. And I mean, obviously, we knew the story, but even if we didn't understand what, the exact words, we knew what was happening. But
Mhm.
it really made me appreciate that show for what it was. And I feel like a lot of the stuff that really impressed me was stuff that wasn't in the film. So I don't know. But I mean, you're probably right. The film is certainly more what it's known for now, just like
Yeah.
Cabaret and the film. The film has sort of supplanted the show in a lot of
Hmm.
ways.
Which I just watched for the first time, both in stage and screen, the Cabaret.
Oh yeah, what did you
Yeah.
think? I mean, quite different.
Yeah. So I watched the movie first, and then I found out that the local college, University of Utah, was doing a production of it, which it's not a show that's done a ton in Utah. So I was like, oh, this is
I
exciting.
can imagine. I can imagine.
And it was really fun. I thought that they did an incredible job with this, they had this kind of rolling stage that they would kind of roll in the one set, the Kit Kat set, and then they would roll out different set. It was very, very clever how they had it all set up, because it was a small black box space.
Nice.
Yeah, and they had a live band, which I just think makes like the biggest difference. If you have a live orchestra
Absolutely.
and band, it's so much better. They had half the band in like, sort of the back of the room, and then they had the other like on the top of the podium, sort of above everything. So there were two parts that just made you feel kind of swallowed up in the
Yeah.
story and the experience. So it was great, and the MC I thought was just absolutely excellent. And it was really fun too. You got there early, and all the different dancers and the master of ceremonies came out into the seats and were like kind of flirting and making.
Nice.
They were
That's
really
fun.
funny. Yeah, it was very fun. So I don't
That's
have anything to compare it. It's the only time I've seen it. So I but I thought it was really, really entertaining. I enjoyed it very much.
I love Cabaret. Cabaret is a masterpiece. The stage show, I really love. When I had seen it before, the first Broadway revival, I saw the final performance of that. But then they sort of revived the revival again with Alan Cumming,
Hmm.
and Danny Burstein and Michelle Williams and then Emma Stone. But my wife worked on that production. She's a dresser, so she is in the wardrobe department. And she had our first daughter during that run. And because of crazy insurance things, she had to go back to work 3 weeks after giving birth, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But at Studio 54, where Cabaret was, they have this green room down below the stage. And so I was there every night, almost every night, with our little baby in this green room with the monitors and all the actors running back and forth, so that my wife could feed her during the show. And so heard Cabaret, I don't know, 100, 200 times probably. And I love that show.
Yeah. It's a really good show. Like, it's entertaining, but it also has something to say.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because like I would have thought, oh, it's such a like a racy show, and it definitely has that in it, but most of it is, I don't know, like most of it's in with like dancing and stuff, so it's not like garish,
No, I mean
if that makes sense.
the new. I'm assuming. I mean, obviously, I didn't see this production you're talking about, but I'm
Yeah.
assuming it's heavily influenced by the revival that they did in the
Yeah.
late '90s. Because that sort of, again, like we talked about with some films, that has sort of supplanted the original Hal Prince production of that show, which was not as garish and sort of sexually charged
Hmm.
as the shows as most often done now, which
Yeah.
is just interesting. I think the Fosse film also had a lot to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Are you a fan of Rachel's Reviews? Do you look forward to Family Movie Night, Female Film Critics panels, or the Talking Disney podcast? If so, please consider supporting the podcast by becoming a Patreon. As a patron, you get to access monthly events such as the watch-alongs and Q&As, where you get to talk to stars and find out the behind the scenes of the movie making industry. And you can pick what I review for Family Movie Night, or even become a guest on the podcast. Podcasts and YouTube channels are expensive, and I really, really could use your help. I would so appreciate it. You also get to be a member of the Facebook group where we talk about all the films that we're seeing, and we have so much fun. Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies and select one of the Rachel's fan tiers. That's patreon.com/hallmarkies. We've been talking about movies and musicals. If you were given the chance to make a Broadway musical off of a movie that hasn't been made into a musical yet, what would you pick?
Ooh. I used to think The Jerk with Steve Martin, one of my favorite movies growing up, would make a good musical, but I don't think, looking at it now, I don't think it would work in 2023. Maybe 15 years ago, it wouldn't
Yeah.
fly now. Um, my best friend's wedding, I feel like has already like 6 songs in it if you really look at the film, and I'm really surprised that that hasn't been turned in
That could be
to,
interesting.
to a musical yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, in California at Disneyland this summer, they're doing Rogers the
I
musical
was going to ask you about it.
from from Marvel, and like Captain America. That's my favorite. So, I grew up in Southern California, right next to Disneyland, 5 minutes from Disneyland. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna have to take a trip home to see Mom and go see Rogers the musical.
I want to go see that so bad.
Should
Yeah,
be good.
I've said, and I know there's been talks of making this into a musical, but I don't think it's ever actually happened. I think The Princess Bride would be a great musical. I think it
Yes.
has like all of the spots for a for songs.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam Gettle, who is Richard Rogers' grandson, who wrote Light in the Piazza,
Hmm.
he wrote, I mean, I think he wrote a Princess Bride musical, but then there was a rights issue and it ended up not being approved. So
Oh,
that
darn.
never happened. And then they announced it several years later with a different writing team. But yeah, that didn't come of anything either. So you're right. That would be a great one.
Yeah. I'll tell you, one of the ones that I did not love, I didn't see it on Broadway, but there was an adaptation that was disappointing to me was I didn't love the Anastasia adaptation. I love that movie. I know it has problems, but I have huge nostalgia for it. And I just felt like they sucked all the fun out of it. Like I get it, you can't have Rasputin be the way he is in the movie, but
Yeah.
like making him this general and I don't know, I just thought they made it really boring. It wasn't fun.
I saw the stage show first, actually. I hadn't seen
Oh,
Anastasia,
really?
actually. So, and I ended up watching it after. And I will say they definitely took the cartoon out of it. They took the animation out of it. So yeah, I could see that if you're a big fan of the movie, I could see that being a
Yeah.
very stark difference
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so you on your Twitter, you do these polls about the art of
Yeah.
Broadway. How did you get that idea? What inspired you with that?
So I don't even know how long I've been doing these polls now. It started, I mean, at least over a year now, probably. I did just for fun. I mean, I had very few followers then. I just did like, hey, let's go through every year of the best musical. And it wasn't even artwork yet. It was just like the winners of the Tony Award for Best Musical. And I put up the nominees and people would vote. And it just sort of, it really, by the time we got to the present day, I mean, it was getting thousands of votes in these polls, and then people wanted them to continue after, and so we did like revivals, then we did best actress, and we've been doing, I did the Grammy Award for best theater album throughout the, sometimes from the 40s on every year, so I mean these take months to go through, and then eventually, yeah, people wanted to do the artwork, and I collect posters from shows that I see. I've got probably 600 Broadway artwork pieces on me in this room. And so I was like, yeah, I'll artwork. That sounds really fun. And people really, really responded that it's their favorite thing. Every once in a blue moon, I oversleep or something happens. I have to do something with my kids and I miss a day. And people are like, where's the poll? So I love that people are excited about it. And yeah, so it's just become a fun, uh, yeah, before I was like the Schmigadoon guy. Now I was like the poll guy on Twitter. So, and I'm happy to be the poll
Yeah.
guy. Yeah. So we did all the years from 1940 something. I did sometimes 20 posters per year, and it's only 4 a day. And so we went through all the years, and then we're at the end of our second round, and we're gonna narrow it down until we get to a final poster to rule them all, which it's gonna be Follies. It's always Follies. Nothing
Do
ever
you
beats
think
Follies.
do you think that people are too biased though about shows they like or don't like? Did they
A
really or
thousand percent.
the
There's
art?
some days
Yeah.
where I'm like, people are voting for the show they like, not the artwork. Because come on, people. But
Yeah, like
yeah,
the
no,
one that's on today is Hairspray, I think was winning, and I'm like, that's not that great. Come on.
yeah, people,
Like I
people,
love
yeah. The other
Hairspray.
day, Dancing, one of my favorite pieces of artwork, lost, and I was like, I never want
Yeah.
to influence or put my opinion in the polls, but I wanted to be like, come on, people, how could you let this lose? But
Yes.
yeah, that's been so much fun.
Yeah. Well, so Schmigadoon, we are in when this airs, because I'm actually going to post it in 2 weeks on Tuesday, 2 week, so
Hmm.
week from Tuesday. Anyway, when this airs, it'll be finished, or almost finished. And how are you feeling about season 2 versus season 1?
I love this show so much. I've never felt, and I know a lot of other people feel this way too, but I feel like the show is written just for me.
Yeah.
It's just so the not only is the comedy just so funny and just my kind of humor, but then of course the musical theaterness, the jokes plus the songs are just really, really good. I mean, I listen to them all the time. And
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people really enjoying this season better than season one. I loved season one a lot. I thought it was so clever. I realized that people really like this era of musicals a lot more. I mean, it's definitely a sassier, sexier, it's not Oklahoma or Carousel, which a lot of people don't like to begin with. But I can't choose between the two. To me, it's like The Godfather 1 and The Godfather Part 2. They're one story.
Right. Well,
So,
yeah, I mean, I would prefer the first season just because I am just more old fashioned in my taste, like I
yeah.
appreciate, and I think the best thing about this season 2 for me has been pushing me out my comfort zone to watch, kind of check off some of these shows that I hadn't seen, or I I hadn't seen for a while. Like I did get to go last fall and see Chicago, which I'd never seen before on Broadway, and so that was
Mm.
fun. But I like seeing something like Cabaret. It's kind of pushing me out of my comfort zone a little bit. I saw Godspell while last month, and so I do appreciate that, and I've enjoyed it. But I just have more of a love for, especially Music Man.
Oh, Music Man is. People ask me my favorite musical, which is like an impossible choice, but I end up usually answering The Music Man. It's one of my all time favorites.
I love it. It has a special place in my heart because I mean, I just love the message and the story, but uh in 2000, Christmas season 2000, I went with my cousin and grandma to New York. We did a New York trip, and we saw the revival of Music Man with Rebecca Luker and his name just left me, but
Is it
anyway,
Craig
saw the,
Bierko?
yes, Craig Bierko, yeah. And then we also saw Beauty and the Beast, and we saw the Rockettes Christmas Spectacular. And that was the whole reason that we got my grandma to go. We were, because she loves the Rockettes. She loved the Rockettes.
Oh,
And
my wife works every year. She does the Rockettes.
Oh really?
She works on that show. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And she loved them. And so we're like, Grandma, we'll go watch the Rockettes. And it was just a really special time. And they both my cousin and my grandma have passed on, and so it's just very, very, very emotional for me, and special. And I think that that's one thing that is special about Broadway, is because we have so many nostalgia and memories attached to these shows. Those of us that have taken
Absolutely.
trips out there, and I say I don't know if I'm the best theater critic in the world. I think I'm probably a better movie critic than theater critic, because I just love the experience of seeing shows so much.
Yeah, I
It's
that's people ask me to review shows, and it's like I don't want to, you know, I just want to love. I just want to love the shows, even the ones I
yeah,
don't like. I'll love.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. So I think that I did probably enjoy season 1 more than season 2, but I still have definitely been enjoying it. And I'm really impressed that they were able to get pretty much everybody back
Yeah,
from, because I thought, oh, because it was all closed for season one, so that everybody needed something
yeah,
to
everyone
do,
has, yeah. I
and
couldn't believe that Ariana DeBose was able to come back. I mean,
yeah.
she clearly, I mean, she was only in a little bit in the first couple episodes, and then she's got one song in the finale episode coming up.
Mm,
But yeah, I
I
obviously
mean,
she wasn't available for long, but she did. She made an effort to come back. Fred Armisen is the only one. I don't know why, but
yeah.
he's the only one who didn't
Yeah,
return.
I
Lots of the
mean,
dancers are returning. Like even
yeah.
the people who are in these little bit parts are former Schmigadoonians, which
Hmm.
is so much fun.
Yeah, Aaron Tveit, I kind of was nervous that he wouldn't be able to come back. He's so busy.
Yeah, I mean he was. Yeah, he's it's been on. He's just been back in Moulin Rouge.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they all had such a great time doing the show. I think they were all really eager to go back, and hopefully, knock on wood, if and when there's season three, they'll all be back again.
Yeah. So you said that you had watched my underrated video.
Yeah.
What I put you on the hot spot. What would you say you think are some underrated shows?
Well, I'll tell you, your number 10 is my absolute number one. Head over
Ah,
heels. I saw it, I think, 3 or 4 times on Broadway. I absolutely loved everything about that show. I thought it was so special, so funny. Couldn't believe the reviews it got. I mean, Bonnie Milligan, who was the original Pamela. No, she Pamela. I can't remember the names. The one who sings "Beautiful." Uh, the whole original cast was so special. I absolutely love that show. I think if it opened today, I think it would get better attention. I don't know why, but
yeah.
so that one is definitely high up there. What are some other shows? I really like Tuck Everlasting.
Okay.
It
I've seen
opened on
that.
Broadway for a month in 2016. Um, I really enjoyed that adaptation. What else?
I've
Though,
seen that.
oh,
The only thing I didn't love about that, because I think the songs are actually pretty good, and
hmm.
I think the romance is a little weird because he's like 100 and something, like he's
See,
old.
I didn't take it as romance. I took it as like maybe, like as a bond of friendship. And then yes, one day when they're older, maybe it would blossom into something. But I don't
Mm,
know. Yeah, it did. That was also my first experience with that story. I didn't know Tuck Everlasting at all before I saw that show.
yeah. But I think it did
Um,
have some good songs.
I really enjoyed that. Actually, you mentioned Little Women in yours. I saw that show um, on one of its uh, press nights, and I had never read the book. I had never seen the movie. I didn't know Little Women at all,
Oh my
and
gosh.
so it's this silent theater. We're watching the scene where one of the sisters throws a book in the fire,
Yep.
and I
Amy.
audibly gasped so loud that it got laughs in the theater, and I felt really bad because I just was so shocked, and everyone else knew what was coming. But so that's my Little Women
That's
story.
really funny. I don't know. I really think it's a good show. I mean, especially Some Things Are Meant to Be. I just love that song. I think it is
Yeah,
such a beautiful song.
that was
So,
fun. Another show I really liked was It Should Have Been You. I don't know if you've ever
I
heard of
don't know
that.
that one.
That's probably going to be done a lot. I feel like in community theaters. Maybe not in Utah. Now that I think about it. There's a big twist in it that I don't want to ruin, but that twist might make it a little less popular.
Mhm.
But it's Tyne Daly starred in the original.
Oh,
It's about this wedding day of this sister and this other sister who's having to sort of be in charge of everything. And there's twists and turns and decouplings, recouplings. It's a lot of fun. And then The Last Ship, Sting, the musician Sting, he wrote a
oh,
show called The Last Ship that when they announced it, I thought, oh my God, this is going to be the most boring thing I've ever had to sit through. And I ended up floored. I loved that show so much.
oh. Yeah. Did you get to see the Almost Famous
I did
that
see
just came
Almost
out? What
Famous.
did you
I
think?
did.
I'm curious.
It wasn't my favorite show. It wasn't my favorite. I again, I had not seen the movie.
Oh,
So that was my intro. I still haven't seen the movie actually. It wasn't my favorite adaptation. I didn't
yeah.
quite think the music was, but that's just me. I mean,
I
I didn't think it
saw
was
it.
terrible. I didn't hate it. But
Yeah.
it wasn't my favorite.
I saw it and I enjoyed it just because I enjoy shows. Like I just
Yeah, I
really
mean, I
uh
never yuck anyone's yums. I
yeah.
hope people enjoy the show. So,
I felt I was not surprised that it didn't get a long run because I feel like translating the whole story of him being a high schooler with these some of these situations was just awkward. And it's like it somehow works in the movie, but it's just harder to translate, I think, to the stage. You know, these sexual situations and some of this other stuff, like he's underage, it's just a little weird, I thought.
yeah.
And just aside from the tracks, aside from the covers, there just wasn't any songs that really stood out.
Yeah, when I felt the covers were really they really took me out of it. I was like, "Oh, wait, this is a real song. What
Yeah.
what's happening here?" I was like, "Is this this must be from the movie?" But like, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I saw my last trip. I only got to see 3 shows on that trip because I was there for the New York Film Festival. So I was mostly
mm,
seeing movies. But I saw Chicago, Almost Famous, and Aladdin.
mm.
Yeah. So yeah, I was actually gonna ask you, what's your favorite of the Disney musicals?
Ooh, I loved Beauty and the Beast a lot. I saw the original Broadway show many times, and I was at the final performance actually. That was a fun night.
Mm.
So that one will always be pretty special to me. I mean, Aida, I don't know if you would consider that. It's not based on an animated movie, but I really loved Aida.
It's a
Um,
great show.
so yeah, I probably would say, trying to think if I'm missing any. I
Lion
think I've
King.
Lion King, I think it's beautiful. I love the interpretation. I love the physical production of what Julie Taymor did. Um, I would say Beauty and the Beast, but for sure.
Yeah, I love those ones. There's a lot of others that are hit and miss for me. When I do my overrated, definitely Mary Poppins will be on there. I don't love it.
Mm,
I don't love the changes they made. I know that they're like based on the book and I don't like the changes they made to uh the characters and bringing in this nanny character that was
yeah,
I don't like her at all. I
yeah,
don't like it.
that was a weird one. Yeah, when I saw it, they had still had a number called Bubble and Treacle or something like that. That was like scary. It's since been cut from almost every production
Oh,
of,
really? I
so I don't
feel
know
like
if it
I've
was the one
seen
you
it.
saw, but yeah, it was really bizarre.
I just don't. Yeah, I don't like that. I think Tarzan was lame.
I saw that a couple times. I had a friend in it. The first 15 minutes of Tarzan with the shipwreck and how they had the staging of that in the
Hmm.
Broadway production was astounding.
Mm.
But after that, yeah, it sort of fell apart.
I do love Newsies.
Newsies, that's a good one. I
Yeah,
forgot
that's a
about
good one.
Newsies. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I was 10 when Newsies came out, and so that was like, oh man, that was like my favorite movie.
yeah. I
So
I
yeah,
vividly remember going to see that movie and getting a. They gave us a like a little newspaper to go along with the movie.
that's so
Yeah.
cool. That's so
I loved the
cool. I'm
movie
so
and it got
jealous.
so trashed. Everybody hated it and I
Because as a kid, I
loved
had
it.
no idea. I didn't know that it was a flop. I just then growing up, I was like, wait a minute, they didn't like Newsies? Yeah. Chris Gattelli, who choreographed Broadway Newsies, as a friend of,
Hmm.
you know, if I can call it
Yeah.
a friend. But uh, yeah, his
Yeah.
work in that is extraordinary.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
That would definitely be probably at the bottom of my
Yeah.
list.
I mean, I thought Aladdin was pretty good. I think it benefited from the fact that they had unused Ashman songs.
Mm-hmm.
Ashman songs, Proud of Your Boy, and that added a authenticity. I think that some of these other ones, you can just like, all the new songs are like not great.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I grew up by Disneyland, and for a long time they had an Aladdin show at Disneyland that had some really crazy cool special effects, and I sort of missed some of that spectacle in the Broadway production.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I can see that. So what would you say you're really excited about on Broadway right now? You sound like excited about Shucked. Is there anything else that you're real?
Shucked, Kimberly Akimbo is a new show that I really, really love dearly. I've seen it 3 times now. It's a simple, heartbreaking, but also hysterical show with an incredible new score by Janine Tesori and David Lindsay-Abaire, based on his play. And I believe that it will wholeheartedly, I believe that will win Best Musical this year. So those two are really great.
I really want to see that. Have you seen Something Like It Hot?
I did see Something Like It Hot.
Think?
So that's sort of a double-edged sword, because, as you know, I have many trans friends who feel that this show is harmful, and
really?
therefore it is. And so there is that aspect to it. You know, the same thing happened with Tootsie and with Mrs. Doubtfire. We've sort of had this weird trilogy of man in dress shows the last few years. I think it's certainly, they deal with the issues better in Some Like It Hot with Jerry/Daphne's story. But I've heard from people that it doesn't quite reach that goal. So I acknowledge that. As a musical, just purely on musical theater, I really enjoyed it. It's very big, brassy, very funny, or at least parts of it are very funny. The staging is incredible. There's this whole end. Did you see it?
I haven't seen it.
There's this whole ending sequence with doors. That's all I'll say. That was, I mean, jaw-dropping. And J. Harrison Ghee, who plays Jerry/Daphne, they give an astounding performance in that show. So I think they're worth seeing the show for alone. But we also had a lot of friends. My wife did Something Rotten on Broadway, and a lot of people from that show are in Some Like It Hot. So we did have a lot of friends in the cast and crew. So that is, there's an element there of. But yeah, so I enjoyed it, but I guess I can't recommend it. It's this, it's a weird.
I don't love the movie. I don't think it's that funny. I just don't love it. It's one of those, that and The Producers, both those movies, I just don't like the original Producers. I don't love either of those movies.
Yeah, I can see that. Billy Wilder is one of those, people love The Apartment, and I was like,
I love that.
How is this movie a comedy? I don't know. I don't see the comedy in The Apartment, but I like Promises, so who knows?
I agree with you that it's not really comedy, but I do love it. They give that rom-com label. That is one of my pet peeves. Like, I've seen people put Ghost as a rom-com. I'm like, it is not a rom-com.
Yeah, almost. I mean, most dramas have comedic elements to it to liven it up. Some, it's no, people are crazy.
Well, if you had to pick an overrated,
overrated, like currently or just in general?
Just in general, one people love that you're just like, don't love.
I mean, I feel like Cats is an obvious answer, although plenty of people don't love Cats.
Easy. Yeah.
I used to think Phantom of the Opera was really overrated, but I've come to more appreciate it as for what it is in my later years.
I saw that last March. I saw that, and it was because it was one of the only ones showing on. It was on a Monday, and it was one of the only ones that were showing on the Monday. and I have that nostalgia for it since it's the first one, and I loved it. I mean, it's just such a big spectacle show.
Well, and that's what it is. I feel like the producers, which I don't know if you like the show, it's if not the movie, but it's like
Mhm.
it's base humor, and there's nothing wrong with base humor, just for laughs.
Yeah.
And I feel like the flip side of that is Phantom, where it's like it's just for gushy romance, spectacle. It's
Yeah.
base romance almost.
Yeah.
And like there's a place for that.
Yeah. There's
There's
a
a place for
camp to it, a camp appeal
yeah,
to it. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So I feel like I've appreciated that more.
Yeah.
Um, you know
Well,
what? I'll say La Cage aux Folles. Do you know La Cage aux Folles at all?
I know of it. Yeah.
It's I think that people really love that. My problem is that it's also the basis of that is also the basis for the Birdcage, and I found the Birdcage to be one of the funniest movies of all time. So
Yeah.
to me, it doesn't compare to that. So
I'll tell you my hot take as far
yeah,
as the
yeah,
current
go for
one.
it.
I did not love 6. I don't think it's like
Mm,
terrible, but for like 90 minutes to have basically a teeny bopper a concert experience, it wasn't a musical to me. I don't think it's a musical. It's just like the costumes are fun, but they don't have any sets, any story. They're like, and the songs were just kind of like teeny bopper songs. Like I just don't think it's that great. And other people love it. And I
yeah,
don't
I
think
mean,
so.
I am a fan. But I totally, yeah, you're right. It's not. It's certainly what I don't like the term, but a concept musical. It would definitely
Yeah.
fit that description. Yeah, because there's not really a plot. It's sort of these women
Like it feels
somehow
like
putting on
something
this
you'd watch in
concert and
Vegas to me. Like you they have these like little 90-minute kind of shows that they that they have in Vegas that you do in between your, gambling or whatever. And that's what 6 felt like to me. And I just left feeling like, oh, that's it. That was
mm,
expensive and really short and not that memorable. So that's my unpopular opinion.
yeah, hey, I mean, I can see it. I can
Yeah.
see it.
but yeah, and it also it was a really stressful day that we went. So because my friend was getting back from the airport, and so we were like rushing there. We barely made it in, and so that I want to see it again in a better
Yeah, that can make a
atmosphere.
difference. That can, but yeah,
But I don't know. I just was like, what? This is it?
I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah. But anyway. So I last theater question I have
All
is,
right.
so I was gonna ask you about Rogers the Musical, but you already talked about it. If you were to take an MCU film and make it into a musical, which one would you pick?
Oh, well, I would have picked the first Captain Avengers movie, but that's basically Rogers the Musical. Ooh, and make it into a musical. I think if you get the right writer, I think maybe like Doctor Strange would be a good one to adapt.
I think
Hmm.
the one that has the most potential is probably Thor Ragnarok, because you got kind of
Yeah,
Taika's
that's one of my
antics and
top
everything. Like
five.
his
Yeah.
sensibility, I think would translate well to the stage.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to see what Taika Waititi, who directed that movie, could do with a stage production. Could be
Yeah,
fun. I think,
it would be
you
fun.
got Surtur in the beginning. I saw King Kong a few times on Broadway, and get a big puppet like that. That would be pretty cool. I would see it. I would see. I say do all 40 movies or however many there
Yeah.
are now. Do them all. I'll see them.
I heard that King Kong was disappointing.
Yeah, as a musical, if just on score and book, yes, it was disappointing. As a spectacle,
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it a lot more than most people.
Mm-hmm.
I the puppet was awesome. The
Yeah.
and the beautiful the way they did it, and you get to see their work. And there was so many other really cool effects in it. I dug it. I can definitely be swayed by spectacle. I
Yeah.
I will admit that fully. So
I saw it at the just watching the Macy's parade, when they show
mm,
the Broadway clips. That was really fun. But yeah, I heard it was disappointing. Maybe you get that hype, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah, the hype. Yeah, the hype is important to sell tickets, but yeah, it definitely few shows often live up to their hype.
Yeah. Well, we like to end our interviews with just some fun get to know you questions. So
Alrighty.
first up is, what is the best ice cream flavor?
Ooh, I feel like it's something basic like cookies and cream.
Mm-hmm.
I think cookies and cream is definitely the best. Pistachio is a weird one I'll
That's a
throw
good
in there,
one.
but
That's a good one.
yeah, it's like cookies and cream.
All right. What's your favorite color?
Blue for
What
Captain Rogers.
what music are you into? I mean, show tunes,
Broadway,
obviously.
yeah. I'm so because when I used to have a car growing up, I would listen to the radio, but like now I don't listen to the radio ever. So I'm years behind on popular music.
Yeah.
So yeah, just theater.
What is your go-to date night food?
Go to date night food. We usually my wife and I go to this place called Don Giovanni, so Italian wood fire pizza. That's what we like to do.
Tell you one thing is, one on the March trip that we had, we went to the Ellen Stardust Diner.
Uh-huh.
The worst food I have ever had at a professional eating establishment.
I don't know how
Like,
the
there's a
lines for
McDonald's
that.
across the street, and I would have much preferred whatever.
That's so funny. And the
So
lines wrap
bad.
around that place. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. I mean, just everything. Even the ice cream was like frostbitten and gross. Like, even the
Ugh.
ice cream, it was so bad. I couldn't.
Well, Don Giovanni's is on 44th and 9th, right there, right close to the theaters. That's the
I was
place
like,
to go.
there's so much good food in New York. Why are we? Oh, why are we?
But the waiters sing.
It was so, okay. What is your go-to date night activity? If you're going out, we probably know this. Go to a show.
We go to a show. My
Yeah.
wife and I love, that's what we do. Yeah, we have two kids, two young kids. So getting out is rare. So yeah, if it's not a show, unless it's a Marvel movie, we're probably
Yeah.
just seeing a show.
Yeah. I would. That would be me. Which do you like better, dogs or cats?
Ooh, I have cats. I feel like I should say cats, but it's dogs.
Okay.
I
All
want
right.
a corgi real bad.
Which do you like better, beaches or mountains?
Mountains. Hate the beach.
Okay.
Je n'ai pas la plage. I do not like the beach. I took 3 years of French in high school. That's literally the only sentence I remember how to say is I don't like the beach.
All
Love
right.
the mountains though.
What's your favorite holiday to celebrate?
I love Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving. I love the day. It's, Halloween's great, but you have to worry about costumes and going out, and Christmas is great, but you got to get presents and Thanksgiving, you're just there and eat.
Yeah.
From the guy who doesn't cook anything, so for me, it's a very easy holiday. I love Thanksgiving.
All right, last question. What is your, maybe I'll change it, because we usually ask what is your favorite romantic movie, because I cover Hallmark. But what is I also say, what's your favorite musical movie?
Favorite musical movie? We talked about it earlier, The Music Man. I love that. The David, the mayor is so funny. You got Robert Preston. I love that movie.
It's so good. So good. Well, very good. You answered all the questions.
Yay!
Well, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm always happy to geek out about theater and movies and stuff.
Yeah. If you ever come out to Utah, I'll show you around the theater scene here. It's very active. There are so many local theaters here.
Well, it sounds like it.
Amazing.
In your video, you're like, oh yeah, I saw this show here and here. And I was like, wow, that's like crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm jealous because Broadway's great, but we only have those 40 theaters and they only do, one show a year, maybe.
Like yesterday, I went and saw the complete works of William Shakespeare, Abridged Revised, at this theater that's in the local library. It's called Pleasant Grove Players, and it's in the Pleasant Grove Library. You never know. And it's so good. So good.
That's so
Everything
fun.
I've ever seen from them has been so good.
Well, I'm jealous of the volume of shows you get to see.
Yeah. Well, how can people follow you on social media, all that fun stuff?
Definitely go to YouTube, Broadway by Ghostlight, or I'm on Instagram and Twitter at BWay Ghostlight.
Okay,
And
great.
you can find me there.
We'll have that all in the descriptions. People can follow you. And thanks again. I'd like to thank Marc for coming on the podcast. This was so much fun to get to talk with him. I thought we had a great discussion. I hope you all enjoyed it. And put your comments in the comment section or on Twitter. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. And you can find my theater reviews at rachelsreviewstheaters.com. I'll have a link in the description, so make sure you check that out. All of Marc's information in the description, so check that out. And thanks again. Check out the Patreon and merch store. Really appreciate that. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.